Today's class, we probably need an hour and 21 minutes. Well, that was a joke, but after class, after the dedication of merit, the Sangha member over here should stay over a little bit over and for a little bit time, and I have a few announcements. Today, I'm going to give the teaching on supplication to Padmasambhava. On one way, it could be called as a supplication. On the other, it could be a very concise biography. In Tibetan, it's Padma Guatang. Padma is Padmasambhava, and Guatang is biography. So Padma Guatang is then written as a biography of Padmasambhava. This is quite well known in Tibet. In the West, lots of the Western students also are quite they paid a lot of attention to such kind of biographies, as well as the biography of Yeshe Tsogyal. So today this teaching is a supplication as well as a short biography of Padmasambhava. And this one is written by Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, and I will shortly tell you the background story as well as its auspicious causes why he wrote this. So yesterday I gave the teaching on the 1990, on July 27th, we went to the north of India, Chandigarh. Around Chandigarh, of lotus, or this lake is where Padmasambhava manifested lots of miraculous pay homage over there. So at that time, when we went on the pilgrimage trip to this Lotus Lake or Riversar Lake, we should let go of the lots of manipulated thoughts and over-preparing for it. We should just simply go there to go on a pilgrimage. Many people went along with us and pay homage over there. Over there, the Lotus Lake is there are a few villages and houses around. Around the lake, when you are actually over there, you can see it's actually rather big. But if you were looking at it from a further away, very important site to visit. At first, we went to a Poyo monastery around there. It's called Bodilin. That's where we went. At that time, originally, Ponso Rinpoche liked to go in small group, but at that time, for some reason, on that day, many people got to know our and I counted the numbers of cars went along with us. There were 42 cars. Like that. This is a photo I took at that time. So sometimes when I take a break, especially this is around the time that we haven't really got to the lake yet. That's just some of the photos that I took. Not great. It's not as clear as it is now. In the afternoon, we stayed at a hostel, not really a hotel, so it's started to settle in that hostel, and our original plan was to take lunch and then we'll go to the lake. But after we just arrived there, Ponso Rinpoche said, health was still really good, and he rushed out without his shoes, and the rest of us started to in our hands, and we were chasing after him, trying to catch up. I remembered I carried his slippers and running after him. And around the middle of our found him around, there's a narrow valley. Right across that narrow valley, I saw this lake, because from where we live and hostel, but I couldn't. It's really just a one intersection away from the lake. After we arrived there, Ponso Rinpoche song. We also had a recorder right on us, so we recorded his singing. And then Ponso Rinpoche it with a certain tone. And later on, I'm going to play a video clip of that rhythm so that you can hear it. Ponso Rinpoche was really happy at that time, I remembered. Then something miraculous happened. In the middle of the combination of roots of lotus as well as reeds and some kind of different kind of roots. And then it became this small island. They sank within the lake, and you don't see it. Somehow, at the beginning, we see it really far away. And at that time, there were about 200 people with us, so everyone's looking, and they were sighing all when they saw that this small island approach us. It is said that the people of Kashmir, they supplicated to Padmasambhava first. They offered this time, people also offer their jewels and their beautiful adornment to this particular island. And then later on, after a while, this small and a miraculous event. Usually, Phuntsok Rinpoche doesn't like taking photos, but somehow at that time, Phuntsok Rinpoche said, "Okay, let's get here and let's all take a photo together." On his own. And then Phuntsok Rinpoche asked all of us to sit together and take a photo together because many people were there. Indians and some lay practitioners. Traditionally, if a lay practitioner is and then you see all of them. After this group photo, everyone started chanting the aspiration of Samadabhadra. And everyone was really joyous. And this song was written in that situation. Besides a biography or a short section of the biography of Padmasambhava. So this particular one talks about the miraculous stories of Padmasambhava. Song or a particular biography is really popular in Tibet as well as in the West. Some centers, some different centers and there are practitioners who keep this particular writing in their daily chanting as well. So for those of you who do have faith, then you can make it into your daily practice. And saying this and read supplications of Padmasambhava, it's actually very beneficial to yourself, to your life, to your family, to your health, to your career. It brings all different kinds of auspicious coincidence. So first, I'll give you the short explanation first. other things, and then later on I would rush and finish everything. Therefore, this time I'm going to switch the order. I want to finish explaining the stanzas first. And especially English. The Tibetan language is condensed into stanzas, and then it has this poetic beauty within it, but is you don't explain, then some of the stanzas are quite difficult to understand. In Tibetan language, for well, then they also don't understand what the stanzas are talking about. So it's kind of similar in that way. So Phuntsok Rinpoche's stanza over here is a little bit difficult. Imaho is included in lots of satnas and chantings, recitations. That's how to start some satnas and and that's how it means. That's what it means. Also, it's another way of calling up on the bodhisattvas and Buddhas. So this is a way of calling. And then it says that great compassion towards all sentient beings, just like a mother's love towards her children. So the first sentence it says, compassionate body. And then it says, you are the Supreme One with unequivalent wisdom and strength. So over here, the wisdom means the wisdom of great strength. Compassion, wisdom, and strength are the three unusual merits of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then the stanza says, I supplicate to for people who studied Vajrayana, then you know the 4 different types of Vidyadhara. The Vidyadhara of longevity, and also has the Vidyadhara of mudra. Spontaneous activity of mudra of cause. I think you're very good. That's good. You remembered all the 4. I guess I lost in that competition. The Padmasambhava who has attained the realization of Vidya or the state of Vidyadhara, please grant your blessings to banish the stanza says, and grant me all the mundane and transmundane fruition. This is the things that you ask for from Padmasambhava, because at first obstacles such as the chaos or disaster created by the 4 great elements, or the inner obstacles such as emotions that's how some people used to complain to me that I really don't have any kind of inner strength to continue anymore. So those are the obstacles of the inner obstacles. And then there are affliction and so on. So those are also a kind of obstacle. And by supplicating Pamasambhava, it could help you to such blessings, and from such banish of obstacles, you'll be able to attain the mundane and transmundane fruitions. All of these fruitions and whatever you wish for will be granted. Anything that you wish for, anything that you aspire for. Everyone's very different. But what it means over here is that by supplicating Pamasambhava, it could help to dispel all different kinds of obstacles within your life. Come from the external world, and some could be the inner obstacles, just as you don't have any strength within your heart, because sometimes the so-called obstacles are not really the kind of obstacles that would be obstacles for others. But with the blessings of Pamasambhava, then all of the obstacles will be dispelled. Therefore, I really hope all of you here, if you feel that you encounter so many obstacles, if you couldn't really get over those obstacles, then at that time, supplicate one-pointedly to Pamasambhava, and then you experience the very swift and really strong change because of such supplication. Well, you may believe in it and may not believe in it, but I'm being very honest and I'm being very genuine and sharing my experience, because I personally felt that whenever I encounter any kind of obstacles, any kind of afflictions, and any kind of shadow of emotions cover me, and at that time, if I genuinely and strongly supplicate to Pamasambhava, and chant the verses that has the words of the ones who speak the truth, then I will receive the blessings from it. The shadows and obstacles will be quickly dispelled, banished into the space with no time. When I was young in Tibet, maybe you don't know well what herders are, but what herders do is that every year we need to move our black tent, the tent that's made from yak's fur. So we need to change, rather, instead of moving, we need to change the black yak fur tent to switch one panel or two that's around the bottom. So what we do is to find a good date to add the new panel of panels of yak fur. Yak felt. So you have to overlap yak fur felt on top of one another. And we would try to find a good date to switch and to try to basically renovate the black yak fur felt. And then we'll move everything out, and everyone's outside, and everyone's trying to mend the tent. At that time, if it were to rain, then it's going to be a big disaster because everyone's outside and everything's outside. Therefore, I would hold a small prayer wheels and pray that please don't rain, please don't rain. And I do think that chanting and supplicating to Pamasambhava at that time really helped. And since I was really good at chanting and doing supplication, my neighbors would ask me to go there and chant. I had so much faith in Pamasambhava's supplication. I often feel really confident. Last year or something like that, a few years ago, on International Children's Day, all the children were singing and dancing outside, and it looks like it's getting cloudy, and they don't want it to rain on that day. So people ask me to change the weather. So at a place where people couldn't see me or didn't notice me, I was then secretively chanting because I remembered how I used to do that when I was a child. And then I was chanting the mantra, blowing the breath to the sky. But please don't ask me again next time, although it was successful on the International Children's Day at that time, because afterwards the clouds all dispersed and the sun even came out. But don't ask me to do it again, otherwise sometimes maybe my miraculous ability won't work again, and that would be sad. Anyhow, my point is that anything you want, anything you need, any obstacles you encounter in your life, you can make supplication to Pamasambhava, and then your wish will be granted, no matter if it's worldly or else. That's the first stanza. The second stanza, it says, the self-born teacher, great Pamasambhava. Self-born is because Pamasambhava is not born from a father and mother. He's self-born. And then it says that he was set to immolation of flames by King Sahor. So Pamasambhava was born inside of a lotus flower. Therefore, it is called the self-born. Pamasambhava was immolated by the king of Sahor at that time. The fire is one of the four great elements. But at that time, the Pamasambhava was not harmed by the four great elements, and the four great elements not only they did not harm Pamasambhava, they adorned him, because the four great elements is just a manifestation of Pamasambhava's enlightened nature. In the center of the lake of eight meritorious water, different colored of leaves, fruits, and lotuses. It was really beautiful, and in the center of the lotus, Pamasambhava was born over there, and he was sitting on top of that flower. He was unharmed, and it was sitting in the center of the lotus, and he was not touched. Not even a single hair was touched over there by the great flame. So in the middle arose the magnificent body of Pamasambhava. At that moment, the intense faith of the king and his retinues can no longer be contained within. But the outburst of waves of faith are just like great waves of an ocean. At that time, the king and his retinues were really amazed because King Sahor ordered to set Pamasambhava on fire and kill him. But they were so amazed to see that he was unharmed, and not only that, untouched by the flames. So at that time, everyone had such great devotion. And because they had such devotion, their external appearance also changed, or their postures also changed. So they folded their two hands and wearing their two hands folding in anjali posture at the top of the crown and prostrated. So over here there is a metaphor describing their 10 fingers are like the 10-petaled lotus. So at that time, they had so much faith, and their faith are outflowing just as how an ocean cannot contain waves. And they were folding hands and supplicating, just as how people, just like how people would group together and pay homage. And this stanza is the stanza that talks about the peaceful form of Pamasambhava. This description talks about how Pamasambhava used the peaceful form to tame sentient beings. I think this story is quite clear to lots of people. I think you probably know this story, but I will tell this story anyways. I'm not so good at storytelling, but I think telling story could really interest people, and will help you not to fall asleep. Rather than if I were to just give teachings on some verses, quoting from some verses and talking about some philosophy, and then it becomes a bit dry and a bit difficult for people to follow. So sometimes it's necessary to tell some stories of great masters, some biographies of great masters. And maybe it will touch you in some ways. Maybe this kind of story will create some kind of difference in your life. So the story goes like this. Out of the 8 different manifestations of Pamasambhava, this particular one is Pamagyalpo, the king of Lotus, the Lotus king. And then there's the lion's roar, Pamasambhava. Different manifestations of Pamasambhava are recorded at different places, or described the different manifestations of Pamasambhava in different places. And there are different ways of describing it. There are the peaceful manifestations, some are the wrathful manifestation. Sentient beings don't really like the wrathful forms. And in some for some people, they like to have the peaceful form only, and some only like the rather wrathful form. So Pamasambhava would really manifest differently in front of different people, just as how people sometimes have the emotion of happiness, then they smile, and sometimes they are not happy, then they frown, and so on. And I mean, my point is, there are different aspects in a person, and there are different aspects. Just as how someone would say, oh, this person is really compassionate, and another would say, no, you don't really know him. Within our group, he's really, really angry. And they would start talking behind the guru's back and say that, oh, my guru is really compassionate, and he's just like Avalokiteshvara, has such good temper. No, you don't know that. Another says, you don't know him, actually. He, behind everyone's back, he's really angry. So Pamasambhava sometimes appears in a really compassionate way, sometimes to the barbarians and the really untamable ones. Then he would appear in a wrathful way. So if you see it in this way, see the different manifestations in this way, you'll be able to understand why in different places, in different situations, he manifests differently. Sometimes some may feel that why in Buddhism you have wrathful appearance. I thought Buddhism is supposed to be compassionate. Yes, on one hand, it's correct. No matter what situation, we do advocate for compassion and kindness. But for people who are untamed, who cannot be tamed by the peaceful form, then wrathful form is more fitting in that situation. Anyhow, the story goes like this. Pamasambhava was at Vulture's Peak, and he was meditating. Vulture's Peak is a place where the Buddha turned the second Dharma wheel. So during the meditation, he was thinking, where would be the best place for me to be to benefit sentient beings? And out of the pure vision in his meditation, a voice answered him, saying that not so far from here, there's a place called the country of Zahor. And over here, if you could go there, you can benefit innumerable people and sentient beings. It's a beautiful place, and the king has lots of wealth, and it's a very developed country. But because over there, the king's wives and consorts didn't really give the king any child, except one, that is a princess, and her name is Mandarava. Mandarava is a Sanskrit name, and it is a name of a flower. So Mandarava is a Dakini who has already enlightened. After the birth of Mandarava, the whole country, at the time of birth of Mandarava, the whole country had lots of auspicious signs of the sage's birth. And after her birth, she was growing at an unbelievable rate. Every day she grows much faster, and very soon she became this really beautiful young lady. And at that time, many kings and ministers and people of high power came to ask for arranged marriage to marry them. And at that time, according to the Indian tradition, the king can decide on his children's marriage. I think even now, arranged marriage is still quite common in India. The parents can decide whether if the children could get married to one or another. This is, in Chinese, we say marriage is the biggest thing that happens in your life. I'm not quite sure if it's the biggest or the smallest. Anyway, people nowadays seems like to be really disheartened to when a marriage ends. Maybe it's because the media's propagation. In Tibet, we don't say it's a big deal. We say it's something that happens in one's life. Anyhow, the king at that time was going to make the decision for her, but then he thought, well, he couldn't make the decision because he doesn't want to offend the others by giving his daughter to one. Therefore, he passed on this right to Mandarava herself. This is probably not very traditional at that time, not very conventional at that time. But Mandarava clearly stated that she doesn't want to get married, but what she really wants is to stay at a peaceful place and meditate and transcend the samsaric world. So the king agreed, and he built a meditation center for her, as well as sending 500 female attendants to study and serve her at that time. And then in the space appears the sky, appears the rainbow, and appears the Padmasambhava. Mandarava and her 500 female attendants supplicated to Padmasambhava, and then Padmasambhava descended to this meditation center of Mandarava and started teaching them lots of the Vajrayana teachings. And at that time, a herder who lost his ox at that time, and he was searching for his ox, and approaching the meditation center, he then heard a voice of a man. At first, he thought he must have had made a mistake because he knew that it's a place for female practitioners. But then, after listening closely, he confirmed himself, and he then went back to the village and told everyone that there's a man in the meditation center. When the king heard it, he was extremely angry. He thought, I give her a quiet place to practice, and I risked of making enemies with all those people who wanted to marry her. So at that time, with the great anger, he sent large army to the meditation center. And at that time, Padmasambhava was giving teaching to all of them. Although all those army did not see anything that's inappropriate happening over there, but still, because they were ordered to do so, they used lots of ropes to bind and fetter Padmasambhava. And Mandarava then begged the person leading the army, saying that, no, please don't take him away, because he was just giving us teaching and he didn't do anything inappropriate. In fact, not at all. So please don't take him away. And then all of the soldiers didn't really care what she said, and they only obeyed their order that they received from the king. So they took Padmasambhava away as well as prisoned prison Mandarava. She was sentenced to 25 years imprisonment, as well as all the 500 female attendants were imprisoned for 10 years. And then the king ordered all the families, all the households to contribute their firewoods as well as oil. After 7 days, he's going to gather all the wood collected from each household and burn Pamasambhava. As you can see, the lake is really big. The picture that I showed to you earlier. So at that time, all the firewoods were piled over there, and the king was going to burn Pamasambhava to death as a punishment. On the 10th of the month, Pamasambhava was going to be sentenced to death by immolation. And they lit the fire, this ocean of fire burned for a long period of time. But after it finished burning, the whole fire transformed into lake, and then Pamasambhava was sitting in the middle of the lake, untouched, unharmed. He was sitting over there. All the policemen, they were really afraid. So at that time, the king was not present at that time. Then all the policemen, so to speak, went to the king and reported this whole miraculous event. And then the king afterwards decided to go there and check it out. And he was really convinced after seeing this by his own eyes. And he realized he made a mistake, and he regretted it and asked for repented his faults in front of Pamasambhava by making prostrations and so on. And then he made offering to Pamasambhava, offerings including his position, his wealth, and all of his people in the kingdom. And although Pamasambhava was untouched by the fire, but his clothing were all burnt. So the king then offered this king's adornments and clothing to Pamasambhava. Therefore, Pamasambhava his clothing were actually the adornments and how a king would wear. His hat especially. There are three types of hats that he wore. And this particular one here that he's wearing is a hat that, once seen, can cause liberation. That's the name of this particular lotus hat. And then he was wearing also a cape and different clothing that a king at that time would dress. And then Pamasambhava said that my body is not going to be harmed by the four elements, because I've already attained the state of non-coming and non-going. I'm not here to gain the wealth of your country. I'm not here to gain to be the authority of your country, but I'm here to benefit your sentient beings. So he called upon all of the citizens inside the kingdom, and then taught them the Dharma. Also, he released the princess Mandarava as well as her female attendants. Some say that Pamasambhava stayed for a long period of time. Some say 13 years, and there are different records. But at that time, because he stayed in the country of Zahor for a long period of time, he taught the people over there Vajrayana teachings. So over 100,000 people over there attained the realization and the state of Vajradhara, including the king of Zahor at the time. And everyone has great faith and devotion towards Pamasambhava. Then afterwards, Madhurava and Pamasambhava then went to Nepal. We didn't really make it to that cave. At that time, Phuntsog Rinpoche really wanted to. People say that the weather is not really great, therefore we can't really go. And maybe there are people who say, also I think it's also, if we wanted to go there, we had to take the helicopter, and it was really expensive. Maybe because we didn't have enough money to take the helicopter to go to see the cave, Maratika cave, where Pamasambhava and the prince and the princess attained Vajradhara of longevity. So this is a story of how King Sahor made a great fire to burn Pamasambhava. Of course, there are different stories and different records, but I present it in a way where I combined some of them and presented alternative facts as well. In fact, I grew up with reading the biography of Pamasambhava. Sometimes I couldn't read, or I didn't recognize all of the words on the biography. But at that time, because my Tibetan was not that great, and sometimes I really wanted to read, wouldn't it be wonderful if I had audio recordings like how we have nowadays, like audiobooks? So what I did was I went to some monastics and some monks. I would listen to them telling me stories of Pamasambhava. So I heard many different versions of the story of him. Of course, most of the people who told me these stories, they already passed away. So this is a story of a rather peaceful manifestation of Pamasambhava. At that time, there's another manifestation of Pamasambhava is called Pema Gyalpo, the Lotus King. Yesterday we taught on the practice of Dorje Trollo. That's another manifestation. There are 8 in total. So this particular story that's coming up, as I'm going to tell, is the previous story that I told is the story of Pema Gyalpo, the Lotus King story. I really like this kind of stanzas. I didn't read the transmission. Now I'll give it to you.
대체v 듣당 샤면서 현재 년시 대체v 듣당 마스타 알란진소 나르지기 리스톱 칠때디 또 조르는 나자랑다 짱자나 칸조 적모 상동 제르기 고르 찌슴 찍찌르는 비 에흐노네 홍파자이 특듬 그 르짓 그르베 Dender Nyamba Chimbur Kurvjan there, Zimcher Longrim Chirder Nombo, Pergut, Rudder Sapi, Rola, Azanaru, Nyanjik Naru, Trism Rarnian Shi. They say Savlan Kopal Harnam, Yisanki Jaju Jibim, Sansori, Chivichia Monsum, Tambana, Nunzun Wum Chakbe, Matak Bar, Darjan Kanjan, Jamba Jinda Gir, Detan Tomin, Mahangari, Zidang Chabu, Rostin, Bumchak, and teaching on Bianchok. Chabar Jan, Monsum, Gartun Kiri, Kaviki Kichon Gavi Kartib, Mapchu, Lundam, Jumbi, Lamne, Dur, Jamchuk Kikin, Rokum Marton, Poundem, Chinley, Dilem Mayor, Jerjir Durji, Tamja, Kurlana, Tadam Samam near the Namurum Zot, Namatrina.
And now over here. And today, this cup, this. Don't change it anymore, okay? So at that time, just as how when Buddha was enlightened, the Maras were the Maras and the heterodox practitioners were all fighting against it, and they were like flocks of elephants. They're very strong and they have so much arrogance. What it means is that at that time, all the heterodox practitioners, as well as all the Maras, they had so much power at the time, back at the time in India. And their vicious black magic attacks, like elephant trunk. Over here, elephant trunk means that the black magic or the evil forces that they use to attack. So at that time, Simhavakara, who is a Dakini that has a lion's face, she appears very often in the supplication, the 7 lines supplication to Pamasambhava. It also talks about the story of how Simhavakra provided these small caskets, treasure caskets, and then Pamasambhava, after revealing it, then subdued all the evil forces. Over here, the metaphor is the elephant use his powerful trunk to destroy houses and stomp on people. So this kind of wild elephants were here. And over here, Phuntsho Rinpoche used it as an example of how wild and chaotic and powerful the heterodox and Maras forces were at that time. But Simhavakra then uttered the sound Hum and Pat to supplicate Pamasambhava's mind. With the strength of such supplication, it's quite important to chant this wrathful Dakini's mantra as well. When Pamasambhava and at that time, she used the energy that is strong enough to swallow the 3 realms of existence to utter the sound of Hum and Pat. And she used such wrath and such strength to chant the sound of Hum Hum Pat Pat. These 2 syllables are often used in lots of the subjugation mantras. And use such sound, she supplicated to Pamasambhava's mind. And then the body of great subjugation, the body of great equanimity. So this body is a lion's body. In the Tibetan version and Chinese version, you can't really tell very. It's not so obvious, but what it means is that through such supplication, Pamasambhava appears in the body of a lion. The lion has sharp claws and teeth. So the Dakini supplicated to Pamasambhava to teach and debate and show his miraculous manifestations to subjugate all of these evil forces. And the teachings, debates are the sharp wisdom, as sharp claws and sharp teeth, as well as the miraculous manifestations. And then finally, Pamasambhava, with such methods, subdued the beasts, and then enjoyed the feast of them, because usually lions would prey, then enjoy the feast of his prey. So after enjoying such feast of all the evil forces, it doesn't mean enjoying feast. It doesn't mean that Pamasambhava actually waged warfare, killed many people, and then ate them. It doesn't mean that. What he meant was that, what it means is that the Dharma teaching and the debates were able to defeat all of those wrong views, and then unfetter those who are binded by their 5 skandhas and liberate them. Nowadays, people have lots of preference on their meal. This candy, that kind of dish, whatever you prefer. But for enlightened ones, the best feast is to liberate sentient beings by unbinding them to the 5 skandhas. These are the best food for enlightened beings. So by taking up the image of a lion's body, his fame and his good name was roaring like the lion's roar and shakes the 3 existence. The celestial beings all praised this one as a great lion's roar. After the homes and pots supplication, Pamasambhava then appeared himself as a lion and subjugated the evil forces. And that's why he is also called the Great Lion's Roar. Sometimes we can't really see what happened at the time, but he appears in different forms. In Sikhism, they, you know who the Sikh practitioners are, the ones who wears turbans on their heads, and they don't cut their hair for their entire life. Anyhow, the person who is the person's name is also called a guru, Guru Nanak, and some people would consider that Guru Pamasambhava is also a manifestation, or some would consider even that Padmasambhava is a great sage or a great teacher of Sikhism.
对他们这个教法有害的这个众生呢，也有就进行降服，就有这样的说法。所以印度啊、尼泊尔啊，
So in India, Nepal, and Kashmir,
有很多圣地
in all these places, in lots of the pilgrimage sites, many people from different religious sects and religious schools would consider some prophets, some sages performed some miraculous performances, miraculous acts.
也是不可思议的。因此呢，就是也可以有各种各样的不同的这个
So even though we cannot perceive this kind of miraculous acts, but we cannot say that, oh, this Padmasambhava is the only Padmasambhava, and
内教的内部的一种说法，但真正的就是，尤其是现在这个事件当中来讲呢，就是可能有各种不同的这种说法呢，也是比较
But
合
we
理
should
的。不过呢，
also consider some of the stories or some of the things that happened in different schools or different religions. But I think once you But I think it's also reasonable for each religion to put great emphasis on their own religious leader or spiritual leaders. Each religion does that. They use different ways to praise their own religion, praise their own school, praise their own lineage. But this is how human beings are. Let it be countries, let it be ethnics, let it be your own family. Some people take such pride in my home, in my religion, in my temple. This is something that we all share. This is the kind of afflictions that we all share. So the schools, sects, and the different religions have conflicts because of that. But I think it's probably the best to, on one hand, have a firm view of what is so different and what is so unique about your own religion, and on the other hand, also you should have inclusiveness and big-heartedness towards other religions as well. And now we'll continue with the verses. So it talks about Padmasambhava's peaceful and wrathful manifestations. And the next verse, Ponsako Rinpoche used a rather a poetic way of expressing how he viewed Padmasambhava, or how Padmasambhava is. So over here he says that appear as the supreme of the most venerable ones in this world. As supreme being is hard to be carried. Even on the shoulders of Earth Goddess, Earth Goddess herself cannot carry such supreme being. Sometimes we say that it is difficult for the earth to bear. So that's what it means over here. Even the earth cannot hold such a supreme being, but can only grumble and shake out of incapacity of holding up Padmasambhava. The sound and actions of Earth Goddess only shows her incapacity. So sometimes in poetry or in for the flowery language, for the purpose of using flowery language, sometimes it's written and described this way. Maybe it's too heavy, and then too heavy for the earth to hold, and therefore the earth is grumbling.
千千万万的这个激进和愤怒的
This is the
游戏
place that
这个
this is the
千万
place
呢
that
很多的
thousands
意思
of
因为
peaceful and
前面讲
wrathful
一个激进的游戏
manifestations
嘛
of
还有一个
incomparable
愤怒的游
great
戏嘛
master.
这些
So
呢就是在同一
thousands
个时间当
is
中展现在
really
这个年华
a
湖
way
的
of saying
发望的意思
many.
就是说他愤怒的这
So
些
it's a
现象
place
和
of
那个激进的这些
many
现象呢
peaceful
在
and
同一个
wrathful
时间当中呢
manifestations
就
of
是当
Padma
时
Sambhava
展现的这个圣地就是
being
年华湖
played
就是
simultaneously.
那么
And
就
this is
是
the
那么
place
这个
where
成为
it's
献祭
shown
成为亲简
at
那么
the
法王
Lotus
呢就是
Lake.
就已经
So
这个
upon
亲简
seeing
这样
this
的这个
joyous
年华
feast,
湖就是得
upon
到这
seeing
样的
it
这个
by
喜宴的
himself,
时候
Ponsukkur
呢，那
Rinpoche
这个仪式的这个童子，就也就是说自己的
said
内心
that
呢，就
the
是法王他
child
自己的内
of
心呢，
his heart
相当于是一个
is
童子吧，就
dancing
是一
with
个
joy.
这个少
His
年，就是
heart,
这个。那么这
his
个呢，
mind
就是太
is
欢
just
喜了，
like
就
a
是
young
特别开
child,
心，然后偏偏
is
气过，就是他意思
absolutely
见到这样的
joyous
这个圣地的时候呢，就是这种喜宴呢，
upon
就是这样的
seeing
这
this
个
great
见到这个
joyous
年华湖的
feast
这个
at
喜宴的
this
这种这个欢喜性的
at
自己的
this
这个仪式
holy
呢，
place
就开始
of
这个
Lotus Lake.
跳起舞来了，就是然后唱起歌
So
来
the
了。
child
他
of
跳起
his
舞
heart
的话呢，
started
看他可能当
dancing
时的
and
这个
singing.
法王的这个心态吧。然后呢，就
So
是这个
that's
啊，
the
银行这个
description
唱
of
啊，就是唱
the
自无为歌，就是他就
then
银行告歌，就是他
feeling
就
of
唱起了这个无为歌。
Ponsukkur
这个
Rinpoche.
这个歌呢，就是无为歌，不是嘈杂的。
He started singing out loud this song of truth.
它是一个自然而然
This
流
is
露
a
出来
song
的这样的
of
这个歌，
spontaneity. This is not a song of
所以
manipulation.
就意思就是说呢，就是当我看到这样的这个年华湖的时候呢，心里就是非常的欢喜，然后自然而然
So upon
唱出
seeing
了
this
就这个歌，
Lotus
而且
Lake, my
很快的
heart
时间当中也
is
是就像我们年
immersed
年华
in
之大师的
joy.
这个祈祷文一样，
That's what
唱起
Ponsukkur
来了。
Rinpoche said,
然后
and
下面
then
呢就是对
I
念是这个
couldn't
祈请嘛，
help
就是祈请
but sing
它
it
是
out
这个
loud.
殊胜的这个对境呐，就是年华
So
生
in
大
the
师
three
因为呢，在
realms,
三
the
界当中，
supreme
一生
refuge
四业呢，
place
就
is
是
you,
永远也是不会
Padma
过世
Sambhava.
的，不
Your
会越
beneficial
世啊，不会
acts
越世。
to the sentient
而且
beings
你呢，就是
transcends
曾经
time.
那个这个地方稍微可能改一下，有点那个字
The
啊，
Chinese
刚才看
version,
了一
you
下
need to change
清
one or
空
two words.
金
Please
刚
make
力
notes.
力士全勤竖线助言相，就是这样可能好一点，就是勤口那个金刚语呢，就是力的试验，然后呢就是全勤，就是全勤呢就是竖线，就是这个两个线当中一个就不用了，全勤竖线助言相。那么就方王说那个
Okay,
莲
after
花生
that
大师呢，
correction,
在三界当中啊，就是三界当中呢，
it
你
says
是不
that
是
in the
也是
three
永远也
realms,
不
the
会
supreme
这个
refuge
报
place
报
is
复
you,
不会
Padma Sambhava.
不会这个
Your
已经
beneficial
啊
acts to
现
the
在不
sentient
以众
beings
生没有这
transcends
样的，就
time.
像我们有些发现人一样的，我已经3年了。
Unlike some of the volunteers over here, they kept on saying that I've been volunteering for 3 years. My heart is jumping too fast. Can I please, could you please excuse me from this position? I really don't want to work anymore. I really am too fed up from benefiting the sentient beings. I've been helping my group for 8 years. Please release me from this position. So some of our Dharma masters, when they teach the class, they feel lots of pain. But look at Pamasambhava, the way he benefits sentient beings transcends time. He does not feel tired. He vowed with his truthful words, saying that I will benefit all sentient beings and without a limitation of time. So he didn't vow for 3 years of benefiting sentient beings. The prayer or the beneficial acts that Pamasambhava vows to benefit sentient beings is timeless. So over here it says, it's a supplication saying, Lord, remember the truthful words you spoke, and please swiftly fulfill your vow. Don't please grant all the wishes that I ask of you. Do not. Please do not postpone, and please grant my wishes really quickly.
这些呢不谋而合的这个就是
And then
更
it
新
says,
这个就是什么
especially
不谋
us,
而合
the
的这个一
people
心
and
一意
teachers
的
of
日
this
日夜
snowy
夜的
land,
随念
who
和
are
祈祷
so
也好是大圣
one-hearted
那
and
么
only
祈
thinking
祷的
of
话
you,
呢就也是非
Pamasambhava,
常的
the
这个
great
悲
Guru
切
Rinpoche,
深情
in
很蒙领的
synchronicity,
这个呼唤
with deep
那么你
longing
呢
we
就
call
是
upon
具有
you,
这个
the
大爱
Venerable
就是
One
大
with
慈悲
great,
的你
with
怎么
such
会是
great
置之不理
compassion.
就我天天
How
祈
can
祷
you
你一
keep
点
us
感觉都
waiting?
没有就是哪有
How
这样的
can
那
I
实践的人的话那我再三祈
how
祷
can
的
you
时候
not giving
就
me
是会
any
有一点这
feedback
个动
after
摇的就是
us
你这个念法圣大圣怎
supplicating
么就
you
是
all
我
the
祈祷了
time
多
with
少
such
年连一个
one-pointed
蒙众的这种现象都没
one-pointed
有
longing?
那么就
So you
现
can
在开
ask,
始呢，就是
after
你发
so
这个
many
大悲
years
心的
and
这个位
such
置，就是
long
并
and
官兵和
deep
价值就是具有信心的
calling,
望
how
那么就是
how
实
can you
际上
not
这
give
个
me
祈祷
any
念幻大师
sign?
实践持
So
教
over
的这
here
些
it
大
says
德呢，
that.
长久住世。真法呢，
And
以
now,
信
with
身
the
语这个实
strength
践
of your
那么让众
compassion,
生的这个安
Pamasambhava,
乐，
empower
那就
me
是
and
就
grant
是怎么
blessings
说
to
啊，
me.
就是终身这个安
May
乐
the
呢，就是
masters
信
who
正法，
uphold
就
the
终身
Dharma
有
have
快乐，还要
longevity.
信正
May
法
the。
那
genuine
么现
Dharma,
前一切这个所求
may
的
the
报，
genuine
每一个众
Dharma
生他有什么样
prosperous
的
in
愿
the
望，
10
什么样的
directions.
这种
May the
这个
sentient
需求
beings
的话呢，
practice
这
the
个都要
genuine
就是
Dharma,
获
and
得，就是
may
都要得
their
到。
wishes,
就是那
whatever
么这个
wishes
呢，
they have, be fulfilled without exception.
这个祈祷文就是策文
So
呢，就
this
是朝拜这
supplication
个这个圣地啊，就是圣地印度
is
年华富的时候
written
呢，
at the
阿旺龙
time
珠同门呢就是七
when
夕，
Ngawan Lojo Zongme, which is another name of Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, spontaneously sung this
对
out
即兴托
during
克而受，然
pilgrimage
后第一次南
during
柱就是
pilgrimage
如印而
at
真理成文
Lotus
字，
Lake, and his
南
disciple
柱这个
Namdro
是堪布南柱
wrote
这个
down
立成文字。
this
昨天
form,
我那个
this
是我
from
写
an
的，
audio
但是我的
recording.
名字方法没有写，
Yesterday,
这
the
个
sadhana was written down by me, but Phuntsok Rinpoche didn't write down my name.
因为我们去印度的时候也要
Because at
看
that
那个
time,
这
we
个堪布南柱的面子，就是然后
we have
跟他们
to
这个激进的就是所以
we
呢
have
就是
to
我就
really
随便不信
take
无所谓
care
的
of
所以
Khenpo
有时
Namdro,
有时候是
his
虽然
feelings,
是
because he was
因
the
为
main
一般那个
disciple who
密文字的嘛，就是
supplicated
后面
and
的箱子
asked
也是
and
发往
invited
他
us
去
to go to
就是
India.
说
Therefore, we had
就是
to
要做什么
make
的话呢，这个
sure
后面的文字全
that
部被看
his
懂，都
feelings
是
are
我
not
们
hurt.
我们家的，所以说这个地方
And
这个
usually
堪
at
布
the
南
end
柱
of
是
a
这个
sadhana,
重视呢，
whomsoever's name is
善哉。
written down should be requested and
这个祈祷
asked
文呢就
for
是这样
by
的，然后
Phuntsok Rinpoche.
剩下来过后呢，我就简单就是说一下今天我们听课的这些道友们呢，
And
大家
then
都
I will
对里面
just
是有信心的。
make a
然后
quick
好多
note.
都
I
是金
know
刚
that
道友。我今
everyone
天呢就是提出两
here
三点啊，就是就第一个呢，
are
就是说
here have such great
大家
devotion and
不管
faith
是
in
什么
Padma
我们这
Sambhava,
个金刚道
and
友
most
也
of
好，
you
一般
are
的
Vajra
志同道合的
Sangha
这
or
个佛教徒
Sadhikas,
呢，要内部的团
Tantrikas.
结，就是这个
So
很
my
重要
wish
的
to
啊。
you is
就是不管是你
to
在某个上师面
have
前
a
也
sense
好，
of
或
unity
者说
within
是
our
其他的
community.
这个
Doesn't matter
包括我们
what
就是每一个班每一个
community you come
就
from,
是以及学
Sangha
习的
that
这
you
些
come
道友
from,
的话呢，
or
应
whatever
该发
class
自
you
内
come
心
from.
跟大家要融合。
I really hope that
像
you
我个人的话，我
wholeheartedly
身边的这些发心的道友的话呢，也算是比较这个团结吧。
be
就
very
是不
friendly
管
to
是
each
做哪些
other.
方面
I
的话
think
呢，
most
内部
of
也算是
people
可以，
around
对
me
外也还算
who
是
are
可以的。
helping me
就是
with
所以呢，
the
我
Dharma
们去学习
propagation,
大
I
乘佛
think
法的一
they're
些修
quite
行人的话
friendly
呢，
to each
有
other.
时候我们离这个众生有一定的困难，但至少也是我们调
Maybe
伏自己的
sometimes it's
心
hard
相
to
信，
benefit
跟
all
身边的这
sentient
些人，
beings,
跟我们
but at
一起
least
见
you
解、一
can
起行为的这些人，
help
还有
the
呢跟我
sentient
们
beings
不同
and
见
at
解、
least
不
get
同行为的
along with
凡是对
people
内
around
内
you,
呢，应该以
because
这
you
个
share
和
the
平的
same
方式来
practice
就
and
是
you share the same
这
view
个
and
解
share
决
the
所有
same
的问
lineage
题。
and so
所以
on.
我们这里
And
呢，
then
大家
to
的这
the
个团
others
结，
who don't
其实
share
团
all
结是
these,
一
at
种
least you
和
should
平
have
啊，就是这个
a
和
kind
平
of a
呢，
heart
我
of
们很多人说是
inclusiveness.
世界和平，但
The
世界
sense
和
of
平的话
unity,
太大
of a
了。
sense of
首
getting
先是应
along
该
with
是
each other is
我们自
peace,
己的内心和
is
平，然后
harmony.
周围的你的这个
And
身边的这些人
And all this kind of world peace, maybe world peace sounds too big and too vague, but this harmony comes from your inner heart. It starts from that first.
就至少在我看到的地方的话，那就是就没有笑的话，那就
People, I usually notice if people have their micro facial expressions, and I can tell if they are not really getting along together. But at least in front of me, they would smile and say hi to each other and so on. But that kind of friendliness is still too superficial. You should have a kind of friendliness that is that generates from the bottom of your heart. Similarly to your family, you should also have a sense of harmony. Being harmony with your family members, your brothers and sisters, and so on. If at your home the smallest unit of the world is not peaceful, how could this world be peaceful? So within a community, we should keep this mind of harmony and peace. It would create a peaceful community. There are teachers whom has people who are not harmonious with each other, and then it seems that the guru is suffering a lot. So that's what I really want to bring to your attention. That is to have the kind of harmony that generates from your heart and not just a superficial. I said an hour and 21 minutes of class. I think it's close to the end of it. Second thing I would like to say is the Mahayana practitioners, as Mahayana Buddhists, you should make a great aspiration, big aspiration. Don't just think about how Dharma could help you to eliminate affliction, to help you to have a peaceful and happy life, but you need to think about how to continue the Dharma teaching for people living at your place, for people in future generations. So you should stand taller, look further in terms of the future of Buddhism. When people think about propagating the Dharma, when people think about helping sentient beings, they feel it's too far away from them. They only think of themselves. How can I get rid of my afflictions, and how can I live better, and so on. For people who have great wisdom, or who have great aspiration, they would think about how to keep this center running for centuries to come. They would think about how to manage, how to create a center that would last long, so that the Dharma could last long in this world. And this kind of mindset is extremely important. So don't just talk about your afflictions. Don't just consider about your own afflictions. Then your life is just too limited, and you probably won't live a happy life anyhow. Therefore, to have a center where you can study, even if it's just one or two people together to study together, then that's very good, and you should consider and think about how to keep it running. This is the second thing I would like to say. The third thing is I want you to practice diligently and be happy. Many people feel nervous when I ask about their practice. Don't be nervous. I think lots of you are already improving, because you're progressing, at least compared to when you were not a Buddhist. I myself already feel you're doing quite good. Even for the most lazy one, I think you're doing great. I see hope in all of you. I see everyone has Buddha nature, and everyone has the potential.
看到我们现在世界上是有一些特殊人、残疾人的话呢，他们都是有那么大的
Lots of
这个发
disabled
心，那么大的
people
精进，所以我们6跟
in
7
this
年的这
world
些人呢，
nowadays,
为
they are so
为什么就
diligent
如
in
此自我
practice.
这个清
Then
净？有可能
why
大家还是
why
应该
you
精
who
神
are
高，应该
perfectly
平时呢要
healthy
精进努力，
are
对自己
not
有这个信心、自
practicing
信、有自信
diligently?
很重要。
So
这
you
是
should
我的
really be confident.
就是今天的就是最后的这个看
This is
法
the
啊，
last
最后的看法，
advice that I
就
would
讲到这个这
like to give to
这
you
3点
today.
啊。然后接下来的话呢，我们这个
And then
今天就是我刚才讲的这个年史的略传呢，就是以后我们这个
this
自己啊，不管是在
supplication,
家里
as I said
个人的
earlier,
修行
whether
禅
if
法当中呢，就是要会
you
念诵。
could practice
会念
at
诵
your
的话，首
home
先
and
呢，
chanting.
我们这个学员就是那个拉拢的这个居士呢，前一段时间他们念呢，就是有些
The
在家人
lay
念的那个
practitioners
念史
group
密传的一个，
over
好
here,
像不知道视频能不能放，能放的话
they
呢，给大家看
chanted,
一下，就是他们也念史
they
这个
actually
密传
sent
是这样的。
this, and maybe we'll play this video clip.
这是那个比较年轻的，他们的不是知识分子，就是应该山上
They
的
are
一些牧民啊，
they're just the
他
herders.
们这
They're
个
very young,
这些自己这个自发的，就是大概有几百个
and
人，他们自己呢
they
就
were
是
practicing,
念了念史
and
传的话呢，就是
they
真正空调语诵
were
这
they
方面还是很
voluntarily
有意义的。
to
也希望
chant
我们以
this.
后呢，在各个地方呢，就是通
So
过
I
这种
hope
声音来传出这样
in
的
the
这种
future
这个
that
文梦的声音，就是
we
就像我
can
们实践当中经常所谓
propagate
的
such a
一
voice
些
of
所谓的这个原理这
of
个
a
障碍这样
victory,
的。
just
那我
as
们今天呢，
how
就
we
是
say
跟
chanting
是
certain things
有
and
藏语
doing
和
certain
汉
things
语
would
就是
dispel
分别给大家
obstacles.
这个
Therefore, today, as auspicious
今天我们所
rising,
讲的
I
华
will
文
ask
所
the
的
people to
莲花教大圣言传
chant
这个
this
声音
in
呢，
both
是
Tibetan
这样
language
的，
as well as the
首
Chinese
先是
language,
用这个藏语
according
的
to
念诵。
the sound or rhythm of Phuntsog Rinpoche.
Gara palma sada da hoy nim chagandar shambala dam chagadala wam je kar gatam lom jana varchalas chadam tamo ngudub zola oma a hon banzarangar pamma thom cham chalan banzar samayanza sada phala hon ai ma ho gongshi the je chengap de par kam chen ni sam chong pa me pa ji rim dan thom chang za lap sor van de she nang sang ve var che yang se sul chu dang zhe le ji lam so ma li pa rim jing ngon dam jar var shin ji lo ngon ze ra sham sur ji dur ji nye la za hor je la po som chang za pa ci Zhong ji no pa ri tong jian de she re tang sa le yan la ge jie den so jin ri se lon jin jian ji pa bi che jim karam can zo hui she len zi pa kar nam ci De korje blonan de pa jam so ye ta pa yo wa khon ta ma shon ni psa zeng za la na da ri wa kam seram sur ji ta ton ta ji me par cher de se da ta mar ta lang chen an so ngar je da je ga pa le ton chi te te byor nga na ja ga rang ta jang za nam khan do zhe mo sang dong jer ji bur Jasam jib charang pe long ne hom pala dai the tam je kala vi dam dala nyam ba chen bu kar jan te zam chal long rim chip dar nam bu yi pe gula ra da ga sa pe san la ro la nyan chang nga ro jasam ram nyam shi te che sa la nan ko pi la na ma ji sang ge da do ji ben sam so la vi Chewa chewa ngon sam tamba nam noran zan ba mon tang tang ma zo bara dar jang kan yewen de jere te tar chong me la ma han gar ye bja dang zha ga bo ro zhen bam cha ga kan de ji ngon be nem cha ga par cha na ngon sam me ga ga tan jer pa ka ba ye ji chi chong ga vi gar ji zhe da ma ju len de zhen bi lam ni do le jam cha che le jin do kan ma tong va ren pan din chen li de li ma yo le va je li je do ji tam cha kwel la ga na Tag dang chan ma nyer de na wa ren zo de che par ra re ka wa jem ba yi jem gun cho dang bang man ta ta ge ken ma zhu lo se ma ji de jer ba nga niệm sa ngan de origin ji zhen ne meng ge dong yi zhe bo bo ban de de chen che ji dang nim zhe po le tam ta ne te ji ni pa sa shong la một tên đã là hoàng cấp sinh gì lo tam dân giáp tên tam bab sầu trời jim do cần để ra chu la chu pa ye đi vào tháp ta ngon tên jar varam zol dor ji tho khon giáp tên giáp pa jab gen tên đêm phala sa jab tam ba taran khol lo jem da nga tang jar va ji tam ba ye ra ni pa ja chi shoi
好，接下来用汉语念一下。
Now the Chinese one. I think the Chinese one, the rhyme is a little different. Maybe you need to change it afterwards. But this one is a rather quick decision, therefore you probably didn't have enough time to practice. The rhythm is a little different, so it's quite special. Maybe well, my voice is not good too.
以后我们可能就这边声音比较好的，可能我们
Maybe later
先
on,
念一下，到时
people
候
who
也给大家 过一
who
段
are
时
good
间
at
吧。
singing,
这
then
个
you
因
should
为念诵的是大家还是认真，但是可能他那
you
个
should try to help people to
调子有
practice
点
this rhythm.
可以挺好的，这是一个
Okay,
因缘啊，
good.
就是希望呢
This
我
is
们
a
把那
good
个发往
auspicious
这个念四
origin.
女传呢，应该以后要做一些什么，到时候像梁父记一样，就是家里呢就是
Maybe later on you can make it into a kind of recording and then repeatedly playing it at your home, so that will dispel obstacles at your home. Maybe that's the next project that will adapt, and we have to adjust the rhythm of it.
应该就没有问题的。主要是
In
这个
Tibet,
汉语
it's
上面
very
这个调
popular.
子也很
Maybe the Chinese one, the sound is a little off. Not sure who taught you this. Well, it's good enough.
第一次听到。
It's the first time I hear this kind of sound.
好吧，我不耽误时间了啊。
Okay,
大家
good.
好好休息啊。
Take
就
good
开始
rest
会线
tonight,
啊。
and let's dedicate the merit.
传承没有念完是吧？
Oh, I didn't finish giving the oral transmission. Okay, let me finish that first,
但是有些人
the
已经走了。
second half. But I think some people left already.
应该记着那东西。到那儿。도동 점음님들 개발을 이카와 점비 겸금 조동 마음음 타다 근 마주로서 지금 님선근도 어진 지잔 매행의 동이 접부 못반도 쓰친지 지단님 족포담 다는 특진이 비 활성나 모든 다라 왕크르 신지로 단전 잡단 담바 족절 gen조근 대장 출납쇼바이 렘렘 타다 문도 결음 조 지역님 총소 밤만전 용서 잡바더니 무슨도 kirk ngaalo chum some be torshung da song ba kirlo namjur ji japam khorlo le yikir ko pa gewo